Right up to the last moment, I hadn't known which way she'd jump. But is there something I should know about your family? Some reason you're hesitating? My mother and He trailed off, searching for the right words. They have lived full lives, walked the paths of glory and death. They have earned their lessons, each and two alone. We do not believe these lessons can be learned if we are held. So they might say this is your cross to bear. My cross? Your burden. Your problem. Yes. But further, they may decide I am past redemption. I have fallen very, very low. Oh. And if they decide that? You won't leave my family cottage alive. Nodding somberly. But I have failed to uncover any other option, she said, voice heavy. I have searched. I have meditated. I have sought to fight this demon by myself. But it is too strong. The ritual they used upon me is too mighty for my spirit alone. Perhaps grandmother can help me conquer it. Perhaps there is wisdom in accepting what cannot be defeated. Very well. How does your queen propose to send us there? She's not my queen, I said, and she's proposed opening a portal for us. We're to go to her chamber in secret, and she'll open it there. Communication's tricky since I've no way of reaching out to her. So we've agreed that she'll open a portal to our suite each time dusk falls. Who will come with us? We can't leave Valeria behind by herself. So we debated splitting the team, but in the end, agreed that just you and I would go. In the end, we're the only ones that have to be there. Living or not. Very well. You are in Ilias's estate? We are. Then I can be there before dusk. I will see you soon, Noah. Thank fucking God. Yes. I'll see you soon. Noah paused, having begun to float back toward the aperture. Yeah? Her expression was inscrutable. Thank you. You know it. Let's get this demon taken care of so we can get our asses to Malcolm. Sounds like a plan. I'll see you soon. See you soon, Navia. I floated back into my reservoir and opened my eyes. Well? Riel, tone impatient. She's coming. We'll be here soon. Thank the stars, said Imogen, who stood off to one side. I scratched the back of my head. And she thinks this is all a trap. Who doesn't? Asked Imogen. But even if it is, there's a chance we can wrest advantage from it all the same. And imagine if you could enlist your mother and grandmother to help us, said Riel. If they're as formidable as they sound, that could make all the difference. Navia made that sound unlikely. They're big into letting each new generation figure things out on their own. The fate of the whole universe is literally at stake, said Brielle. Maybe they'll make an exception this once. Maybe. I pinched the bridge of my nose. But I think I'm going to get some sleep before Navia gets here. It feels like we camped in Argos a week now. Said Imogen, covering her yawn. I might join you. And I, said Brielle, our first time going to lunch. I stared down at my grimy, sweat and blood-covered clothing. Good idea. But that's all, said Brielle, raising a warning finger. Don't give me ideas, man. I just slept with the Queen of the Marathi, and I'm planning to go wrestle with a demon. For once, I'm just really, really excited to come. I said, no worries. Pulled her tunic over her head. Her breasts bounced as they broke free of her shirt, and I could not but stare at her tanned cleavage with its constellation of dark freckles. On the other hand, he began. She threw her tunic at me. Incorrigible. Imogen laughed under her breath. How strange our dynamic. Never would I have dreamed that I'd love a man and not only be willing to share him with 4. Perhaps 5? hug. It comes out these minutes then you should be willing to bathe with us. Imogen froze. Come on, said Brielle. After all we've been through, do you honestly think I'll judge you for carrying Harmiel? I honestly lost track of how many times we've saved each other's lives, and yes, I'll admit it, I care for you as a sister's one. Imogen's gaze flickered up, and a mischievous smile crossed her lips. I got conflicting messages on that score. Brielle snorted in exasperation. I'm surrounded by fools. I've made my peace with Anastasia, and now my love for her is healed. So enough with the protesting. Join us in the pool. It's my time to go to this. Imogen stepped out of the room. Too far? Asked Brielle, looking sidelong at me. You think we should have let her decide on her own when the time was right? Nah, I said, standing up so I could check my clothing as well. I don't think she'd ever have made that jump. You did a good job. Well, don't sound so surprised. As royalty, my every act is by definition good. The heat soaked almost immediately into my sore muscles, so that a moment later I floated to the surface and onto my back. Drifting to the pool's edge, I rested, arms outstretched along its tiled lip. Brielle floated in the center, face up, and so didn't react immediately when Imogen appeared in the alcove, the towel wrapped modestly around her torso. But for all the towel covered, far more was on display. Her shoulders, arms, and her legs from mid-thigh down. And everywhere Harmiel squirmed, slowly pouring itself across her body like putrid molasses. I knew, from experience, that to the touch, Imogen's skin felt natural. One's eyes closed. You'd never know she was so covered. But the sight was challenging. The hues were of rotting blues and browns, ghastly greens and toxic yellows, mostly without form, looking like some kind of plural of organic shapes and colors that made me think of amoebas from some Lovecraftian hell. Brielle caught sight of my face, rose to tread water, and gazed upon her. Imogen froze. For all the world, Brielle's voice was solemn. It is, said Imogen, holding her towel tightly about her chest. Somehow I thought it was going to be worse, said Brielle, tone dismissive as she pushed onto her back again. I've been imagining it to be mostly dicks. Mostly dicks, said Imogen, tone blank with disbelief. You know, like the kind children draw. To be honest, I'm relieved it's just your run-of-the-mill evil imagery. Imogen stared blankly at her and laughed. And at that moment, I realized Brielle's brilliance. Well, it's not just dicks, Imogen said, moving to the pool's edge and sitting down so her legs slipped into the water. I'm glad to say. Me too. It would make it so much harder to take you seriously. Brielle raised her head just enough to look at her. And get in the water already. Imogen glanced at me, and I gave her an encouraging nod. Tentatively, she opened her towel and slipped into the water as quickly as a fish to duck completely under the surface. Ah, she emerged with a gasp. That is indescribable. Right? I grinned at her. Imogen cocked her head to one side as she undid one braid, running her fingers through her interwoven tresses before working on the other. She then ducked back down into the pool, and I saw her massaging her scalp fiercely before she arose once more. By the source, I never want to leave. She swam over to me, turning at the last to press her back against the pool's edge. How have you been bathing all this time? Asked Brielle, tone one of idle curiosity. Carefully, cups of cold water, and I can get a moment alone. Cups of cold shook her head in wonder. Barbaric? Imogen shrugged. We bathed with cold water in the academy. I'm used to it. So this must seem positively decadent, said Brielle with a grin. You've no idea. Imogen rested the back of her head on the pool's edge and allowed her body to float up. Harmiel painted her dark, her figure looking like a streak of pollution in the water. But my love for Imogen made that irrelevant. I found her head in the water and squeezed it. For a while, we remained thus, simply enjoying the heat and each other's company. The only sound, that of the occasional splash or sigh. I closed my eyes, drifted in the heat, and found myself unable to relax. Images kept returning to me. Images of Morgan, Caius, burning, Valeria losing her hands, Livia floating in her sanctum, pierced by one fever. Finally, I gave up. I'm going to get some sleep. Sounds good, said Brielle, who'd been washing out her crimson hair with an herbal shampoo she discovered. I'll rinse and join you. Imogen, so I'm tempted to find sleep. Water body. Imogen took my hand, and I hauled her out easily. She immediately stepped over to the fallen towel and wrapped it around her, casting a worried glance at Brielle, who ignored her with sublime assurance, humming under her breath as she washed her hair. Together, Imogen and I padded into the large bedroom, detouring only so I could snag sharp. The sheets were fresh. I couldn't help but feel guilty for taking advantage of the labor of those enslaved by the Marathi. One more criminal act of inhumanity for which they were paid. Which led me to think of Luz. Could she be trusted? My instincts told me yes. But it wasn't too hard to think of Rosanna back in Gogio, the acts of which had beguiled and then captured me. I pulled on a fresh pair of drawstring pants, sat on the edge of the bed to towel my hair dry. You look unhappy, said Imogen, coming up behind me and leaning on my back, her breasts firm against my skin, chin on my shoulder. I am. The farther we travel, the more the horrors pile up. I'm at the point where I can't even bring myself to trust a young woman who seems as much a victim as I am. With good reason, said Imogen, fingertips caressing the skin of my lower back. She is the queen of the Marathi. I think some skepticism is warranted. I know. I dropped the towel into my lap and stared glumly at it. I just can't wait to return to a world where I don't have to doubt every single person I meet. One day, said Imogen softly, if the source wills it. Yeah. Come on, she said, pulling me down onto the mattress. This moment may not come again for a long time. Let's enjoy it. She nestled her head on my shoulder, molded her slight frame to my own, and sighed contentedly. There is so much horror, she said, voice soft, tracing spirals on my chest with her finger. And yet, like sparks rising into the night, made all the more precious for being so rare. We cannot give the darkness our full attention. We must focus on these small moments, because in the end, they are what matters. Matter most? I asked. Yeah. Her voice was soft, contemplative. The bigger, grander goals seem to be all that matters, but that all lies in the future. There are no guarantees that we will accomplish them. We will succeed, I said. Perhaps. But I find peace by not finding my strength in that hope. I'm learning instead to find meaning in these small moments. Of course, I hope we succeed. But if we don't, then these small moments, like Brielle, wasn't the pain that had made me a stronger man. It was the love I'd experienced along the way. Bonds had forged. Those relationships had given me the courage to attempt what I would have considered impossible before. And to not only attempt, but succeed. Strange, they said. I always thought having companions was a way to directly strengthen me. Like, increase my ability to cast magic, become stronger, bolster my will. Remember how my scores have been going up? Remember, Imogen. Now I realize those numbers, that direct influence, is secondary. You know? The real benefit has been having you guys with me, loving you, being loved. How many times has the difference between success and failure been down to that faith in each other? Love. It's our greatest weapon, said Imogen softly. The sole weapon that love can never claim in yours. Yeah, the truth of it hit me all over again. Peleus was this incredible guy, right? The greatest warrior, the greatest mage, all this stuff. And he still it's like a trap. Fumbled my way toward the truth. I saw that in Valeria's trial. She believed. Still, that strength, the willingness to never concede defeat, is the greatest weapon. But maybe what she thinks of as strength is really something else. A willingness to use violence, to fight at any cost. Because Nevaeh is probably the strongest person I know. But her strength isn't just from her ability to deal violence. It's her will, said Imogen. Right. And she never concedes. But it's different for Valeria. Valeria, she doesn't understand this conflict in any other way but violence. Fighting, the ability to kill. Whereas Nevaeh, her strength, her will, comes from her Imogen again. Kind of. It's like Valeria's sense of self-worth comes from her ability to fight. If she can't fight, she loses heart. But Nevaeh's strength comes from her sense of self. Even when she was trapped in Taniel's dungeon and utterly defeated, she still was strong. Her ability to fight comes from her sense of self-worth. I can see that, said Imogen. Yes. We have to show that to Valeria, I said, because without her hands, she's going to be in her own version of Nevaeh's dungeon, unable to fight. But where Nevaeh held on, Valeria, well, I couldn't bring myself to say it. Brave, said Imogen softly. Yeah. I hoped she'd learn that in our manifold trial. I'm not sure she did. She had enough faith in me to listen, to do the right thing. But since then, I think that faith has slipped some. Valeria, asked Riel, stepping into the room.
Come on.
Head cocked to one side as she dried her hair. I thought she was doing better in Nigeria. She was, I said, allowing Imogen's flinch, knowing she was fighting the urge to get under the covers. But it was touch and go. Each time Calistria swatted aside her crossbow bolts, I knew how much it had to call her. Wake up without her hands. Not good, agreed Riel. What can you do? That is her path forward. I have to help her, I said. I mean, what happens to us if we lose her? Imogen sat up. Lose her? Yeah. I slid an arm behind my head. If she kills herself, or leaves, I'm not sure, said Imogen. But surely it will result in our being weakened. We'll lose the abilities we gained when you wanted Nevaeh. Our ability to regenerate our magic so quickly. But more than that, you will lose her strength. The physical influence she's had on your body. Your ability to fight will no doubt be diminished. Not to mention the damage it will do to our good emotion, said Maria. Valeria hasn't always been the greatest joy to have around, but I can't be time for her to heal her spirit. We're forced into a crazy sprint. Can you imagine what that would do to her psyche? To follow along from behind, unable to do anything but raise a war, give us tactical advice? Thomas said Riel. No. We have to heal her hands. Which means asking Morgana to keep her asleep to get back from helping me. What a dance card, said Brielle, stepping over to the bed, completely at ease and immunity. She pulled up the corner of the sheet and slid on. There's only so much you can do. And I simply lay there, pondering, puzzling, trying to figure out self-worth to her ability. Nothing came to me. And eventually, I fell asleep as well. I was awoken by a touch on my shoulder. Immediately, my hand shot up to where I popped shard by the headboard, only to find my wrist gripped by slender but incredibly strong fingers. Who else? She stepped back, releasing me, and in the gloom, I could barely make her out, as if the shadows were bringing her in. Off a fire arose from it. By the source, haven't you eaten? Asked Brielle, rising to her feet and taking up her rope. Not as much as I should. Mia grimaced. The Morathi are dangerously alert. Their hexen magic has made evading their notice difficult. Then let's see easy, I said, climbing out of the bed. Unless you think I could get a hug first, or her. I suppose so. From Olivia? Shit! I grabbed a tunic, yanked it on, and sat to tug on my boots. Who knows, a minute?